Really quickly, a couple of wrist exercises. So as you know, in Ashtanga Yoga, we support ourselves on our hands quite a lot. We get quite strong. And because of the sheer number of small bones and tendons and muscles and connective tissue in the hands and the wrists, there's a great potential for a lot of finesse and subtlety, but also we need to kind of acclimatize and strengthen responsibly so that those little guys can support our entire body weight. So I'll run you through the classic stretches. The stretches are fairly obvious, I guess. You can turn your hands around like this. You can stretch the fingers. You can stretch the palms, the wrists. You can rock left and right a little bit, this sort of thing. You can play with bending the elbows themselves as well. You can play with turning the hands out to the sides. Not as much stretch there, into the center as well. Oftentimes if there's something going on, these stretches will mean more to you, but you'll find some value in them. The hardest stretch of all is this one here. So you eventually lay your hands, the back of your hands, onto the floor, but you've got to be quite gentle here, nice and gentle. And again, a little bit of side-to-side movement. You'll know what to do. Then moving on to strengthening exercises. So if you really want to work on the strength, then here's a really nice drill. So in order to do handstands and push-ups, this kind of thing, we can look at three main movements that the hands can do. So when they're flat like this, we could lift the fingers up. That's a skill. That's something that's required to be able to lift the fingers up. The second one would be to lift the knuckles up without lifting the fingers or the heels of the hands. So like this. Being able to do that. The last one is being able to lift the heels of the hands without lifting the knuckles or the fingers. This last one's the hardest one. So even though I've got virtually no weight on my hands, I can still feel it. It's still a little bit tricky. This is the most important one when it comes to saving the wrists. It moves the weight into the musculature of the hands. So give that a go. You'll find that it won't take that many, maybe 5 or 10 goes, for you to feel like you've done some training there. And then if you did that every day, probably at the start of your practice, you'd notice a difference. When it does get easy, then you can start to increase the weight on the hands. So here I am now on all fours. So rather than sitting my bum down, my bum's in the air, so there's a bit more weight now. Still do the other ones as well, so fingers, knuckles, but this one's the one that you want. And eventually you do it as a plank, and it's very, very difficult. And after that, again, just loosen everything up. Over the years when I've had sore wrists, this kind of thing, I've been surprised by how easy it can be to relieve pain there by self-massage. Lengthening through the fingers, this kind of thing. Bit of stretching, and when it's been really, really sore, just getting someone in the house to give you a little bit of a massage where it needs to be massaged. Because these muscles are small, these bones are small, it can be almost scary when you get a bit of wrist pain. You can feel really, really vulnerable. But because the muscles are small, they can be massaged quite easily as well. Anyway, that's enough. Thanks very much.